Last but not least, let's talk about Fair City, New York versus the Mafia. So I want you to do the synopsis for this, right? So I saw the trailer for this, and I was like, yeah, I kind of need to see this, because it's about the mafia, right? You know, the true life story behind the mafia itself, their influence on New York City, you know the crimes and stuff that they were doing, but what really struck me off the trailer was it wasn't just about the mafia man, and in this case is the five families and all that kind of stuff, right? The commission, as the show kind of goes into detail as to what the commission was about, right? But what really struck me though was the angle of the FBI themselves, right? Because the show pretty much is a police procedural in a sense. Okay, you see how the FBI were able to find out what was going on behind the scenes with the mafia and bring them down through wiretapping, right? Which was a thing back in like the 70s into 80s. And you have the big backdrop of New York. So it's like, this had to be at least interesting. I mean, we've seen some pretty decent true crime docu-series in this series here. So it's just a matter of whether this one should be mentioned or not. So Ricardo, take it away. What is Fair City about?
Right, yeah. So it's basically the five big families. I forget the names: Bonanno, Gambino.
Yeah, I'll read it off of Wikipedia. So it's Gambino, Colombo, Monaco, Lucchesi, and Genovese.
Right.
Or Genovese, or whatever the name.
Yeah. And they basically, they just kind of was in charge of everything. They just kind of racketeered their way to the top, and manipulate and whatever it is. And then they basically just eventually they figure out how to like deal with them by introducing something that was it was introduced a while back, but now they start to apply it properly. What we know as the RICO laws.
Yes.
And right, so they basically just what they had to do. The logic of the RICO laws is, all right, if one of them do something, we could pull all of them up on it, because it's basically a conspiracy to commit crime, right? So once you prove conspiracy to commit crime, you could pull everybody up on it for not just doing the crime, but ordering a hit or whatever it is, right? And that's basically what the narrative is. And it's just these three parts. They just show the rise of the mafia, the strength when they was at the height, when they start to pull up on them in terms of getting the information on them and how we're going to procedurally deal with them, and then the actual trial and the fall of them. And that's basically it. It's just three short episodes. It's 45 minutes on the first two parts and about an hour and 15 minutes.
The last one is an hour long.
Right. That's it. I mean, they just in and out, quick. And all I'll say is this dude should have made a movie instead. I mean,
but here's the thing. Like, if you were to tabulate all three episodes, it's really 2.5 hours.
Exactly,
which is fine. The thing is, but you'll explain what.
Yeah, that is way too stylized to take seriously. That's my problem with it. Like, he was just like, you could tell you want to make a Scorsese movie, but you also want to make an Adam McKay movie, but he just decided to go with the documentary approach, and it's like, just make a Scorsese / Adam McKay movie about it, and that would have worked. But he decided to go documentary, but it's way too stylized for me to enjoy it as a documentary. With all these cuts, and you're cutting the screen halfway, and the camera timing with the guy's eye blinking, and it's like, so that movie techniques now. And all these shots and referencing Giuliani and then interviewing him. And I was like, why did I just get some like I don't know if it's because of COVID or whatever it is, but like they could just get some actors and just like make it work. It didn't need to be a documentary. Or I could totally see like him like a couple of years from now, or maybe a year from now, doing the exact same thing on HBO and make putting it in a little more detail, a 5-part something. The actual story itself not that interesting, because the last time in recent news that we heard about the Gambino family being relevant at all was one of the later heads of the Gambino family was killed, but he wasn't killed by another mobster, but was by somebody by internet 4chan conspiracy theory group called QAnon. And from what I understand, it was it was connected to Donald Trump because that guy, they all of those like a big sort of Trump sycophant types,
Right.
and that was interesting to watch play out. That are still affecting the world in that way. That's basically about it. It's just knowing about the RICO laws, knowing who was relevant. The two major interviewees, I think, is Johnny Alite, and I forget the other guy who they got to as the people who was like in the bullshit back in the days. They were
Right.
just kind of like muscle. Then they hired all the FBI people. Again, I forget the names, but it's just this guy how he had to go to the he had to pretend to be a cable repairman and he had to pretend to be this and it's just buzzing the house and tapping the phones and just that all that stuff. And that was like novel stuff then. Because and then the mob never took that into account. Um of how where the FBI's different approach to the story to investigation would catch them off guard. And yeah, it was the biggest drug bust. And then well it had a surprise personality and celebrity that come through halfway through. This was Rudy Giuliani. You forget how
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Did not expect to
he's
see him. I just say that
exactly
echo. Sorry about that, but didn't expect to see him in this show actually.
yeah, exactly. He's a complete, mental patient and bullshitter nowadays. But like back then, he was a serious person, right?
Mm.
And I we only think about him as about his political legacy. But no, he was he was a big DA anytime, and that was he take a lot of credit for that. I have no idea if the documentary makes him out to be better than he can. I have no idea how to do somebody. I'm sure somebody somewhere go tell you, no, Giuliani's a complete bullshitter. He didn't have that much to do with it, or something like that. There's always have these counterpoints and counter narratives that has come up after the documentary. But I don't see nobody really talking about it per se, because I don't think this documentary all that good in that sense. It seems to like gloss over a lot of stuff. They just wanted to tell a quick story, and this would have worked totally better if it was an actual narrative movie, just retelling the story in the same vein as a Goodfellas or something like that, and it would have worked better like that. That's about it. Or Adam McKay movie, right? Adam McKay, does these stylized narrative stories, right? Where it could have totally been documentaries, but he decided to want to go to narrative stylization over actual facts, and it's more about feelings and theme and aesthetic rather than documentary facts. This one had way too much stylization for me to enjoy it, but still good for what it is, right? Nothing new or in it in terms of learning about it. The story, the commission. I'm familiar with most of this. Its connection to the concrete industry and all of that drama in terms of construction. And if you wanted to build anything, you had to pass through mob back in the 70s and 80s and even the 90s. And yeah, that is about it. They just tell the story in and out, and that was about it. It's a shame that he could not pick a more interesting project because I would have liked to see some new stories being told. I don't know why they picked this story because it has been told so many times and we know the narratives behind it. So nothing new was brought to the table, I felt. Um, that's about it. So yeah, that's just me. I'll probably give him a rating after you see a piece.
Right. So the he that Ricardo keep referring to, the director of this is Sam Hopkinson, right? I haven't seen anything from him at all, so I can't really see that, this one thing was better than the other, but I do agree with you for the most part. For the most part, not entirely, right? Um this really did feel this scared bad out to do it, right? Or I should say disappointing, or could have been better really. I felt like, yeah, clearly this could have been like a five-parter at least, right? It does kind of just gloss over certain things, which I kind of understand, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like even with three episodes though, I kind of came out of it like, okay, I get the gist of what's going on, but there could have been moments, and there were moments, especially in the final episode, where you could have expanded. Sorry, where you could have expanded on certain things. So, I know we kind of complain ever so often about certain docu-series running an episode too long, but this is actually like the first in a long time where we actually talk about where yeah, the runtime is pretty short though. Like I say, if you just couple all three runtimes together, it comes up to about 2.5 hours, right? So I don't know if this was just for people who kind of complain about how long certain docu-series are, but nah, with something like this though, with so with material like this though, yeah, you could have gone even deeper, right? We not way deeper, but just deeper than what we got here, right? But I also agree with you too in terms of the style of it. Wow, it didn't take me out of the show though. I kind of dug where he was coming from. It
Yeah.
really does have a Hollywood style to it though. Even right down to having like the screen split up in three or five, and seeing pictures or images and trying to have them match in a kind of way and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of match cutting. There's a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah,
that.
right,
So,
right,
like
exactly, right.
split match cutting. Like that is one notable one where they show the guy's eyes blinking, but the camera shutter taking a picture. It's like, all right, enough.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, what I mean, just I mean, similar to other gangster films in the past, right? You could tell, yeah, I just want to be all stylized because when it comes to that genre of film, you want to see style, you want to see that little panache, you know what I mean? But I do agree though that at times it does kind of take away from what the show is about. You know what I mean? It's almost like we just have to be like the coolest, show out there, even though yeah, we really talking about a serious matter here, right? Um,
Right.
Other than that, though, well, I mean, I guess a few things will come to mind as far as gripes go, but other than that, I thought that this stock was fine. It was good for what it was, right? I didn't watch them out episode after episode. I kind of took my time, kind of watch one episode, then other stuff, came back to the next episode, and stuff like that, right? But yeah, this is what it really would have benefited with 5 episodes. They really kind of kept things a little tighter in terms of what to look forward to and all that. But other than that, I thought I really dug the storytelling here, what they would try to address or explore as far as the FBI's take on the FBI themselves, sorry, bringing down the mafia, the commission case and talking about the commission and Rico and all that kind of stuff. It's fascinating stuff though, right? It didn't really exactly feel like it was about how it affected New York City until like the end of the second episode leading into the third one where they brought in the whole construction stuff and they talk about Trump Towers and you actually see a very young Donald Trump in this, right? But what I mean? Like I also dug how they kind of went out of its way, even though it's a little too much at times, to kind of capture the look and feel of the 70s and 80s. You know what I mean? Like right down to the the film stock the film stock look that they use periodically.
Yeah.
The reenactments. You know what I mean? Some once again some stylized reenactments here or there, right?
Yeah, that was
Uh,
he should just make a movie. The
yeah,
two.
you're right. You're right. Yeah, but I don't know. It's in a way, the more to come out, the more yeah, you are right. Like this could have been, uh, yeah, 2.5 hour movie, you know what I mean? But I don't know, Mr. Man just wanted to make a doc, you know what I mean? But at the
Yeah,
same
I don't
time,
get
it's
why.
like with a docu-series, right? You could do so much. You could tell so much, right? With the style and all the stuff that they use here, it's really more like okay, like it's more time based. Like that's why you see those things in movies. Like okay, we have to get the story moving. We have to tell all this information in a short period of time. How do we do it? Let's have a montage. Let's have we this all these series of events playing. You have this dope song playing and all that kind of stuff. We could get away with that. With a docu series, it's like you can kind of calm down. You can relax. You can let the interviewees tell the story. You know what I mean? And this is what they were doing, right? But it just felt like at times you just have to kind of stop and do a little stylized stuff, right? So yeah, more think about it though, Ricardo. I do agree with you. Yeah, this really should have been a movie. In a sense, it really should have just been a documentary movie and done, instead of this split up series. But
Right.
still, the subject matter is strong enough to at least keep you on board, keep you interested. I was intrigued through the entirety of this. Some things I knew, some things I didn't know. Also, like, well, just talk about style, how they incorporated certain TV shows and commercials and whatnot. There's a great one involving an ad for Cabbage Patch Kids, and then leads to a person being arrested. But is the
Yeah.
relation between those two bits of television
Yeah.
footage, though. I don't want to
Yeah. It's
spoil it,
got
but
a
it
lot of
works.
cuts. A lot of stylish cuts. And they make references like this. Something that I didn't mention enough in the Jordan doc, but just reminiscent of the type of person you saw in as the anchor. It's like, oh shit, that is not thing, and they make reference to like uh Chuck Scarborough in it, announcing the thing is like, okay,
Yes.
they have Chuck Scarborough in it. Like much like
Yeah.
on the Jordan doc, you had people like Cuddy Chung and um oh gosh, is it uh Bill Fitters and all them fellas like that. So it's like,
Right.
oh shit, yeah. Like, yeah, see, back in the days. That's the
Yeah,
real nostalgia source there.
yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, I know that there will be people who like kind of watch this and come out of it and be like, yeah, you know what I mean? They skip certain things out, they kind of ran through certain things. I don't really know exactly what was taken out. I would be surprised if some stuff was left on the cut room floor. But yeah, this easy could have just been a 5 episode run, and we could have gotten more stuff there. But still, for what it is, it's fine. I mean, it's not the most mind blowing documentary I've ever seen in my life, but it's fine. It tells a story. It gets out pretty quickly, but a little too quickly, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But you do get the gist of what's going on. You get the gist of how dangerous this, this mission basically the FBI took, to bring down the mafia was, right? And you do get a sense of just how corrupt and just crooked the mafia were. You know what I mean? And why, yeah, they just need to be taken down. But I would have loved to see like a I don't know, a longer um aftermath, basically, like
Yeah,
really
that's the
seeing
problem.
what happened next. You know what I mean? It
Yeah,
just kind of show a couple of things. They say something about Giuliani, and I think they just stop
right.
right there. It's like, all right, but okay,
Yeah, they
so
mentioned.
what about the well, sorry, the second half of the 80s, because it stops pretty
Yeah,
much at 85, 86, right? Well, I think it stops at 86. But it's like,
right.
what happens next? Do we like, kind of give us a sense that
Yeah,
yes,
this
this is the battle that's still going on, but
right,
what has the FBI done after
right.
this thing, right?
No, this a case of being the worst of both worlds now because it has certain stylized stuff, but it's not a movie, so I'm not looking for that. And then it don't really give that much information to speak of, right? Like they mentioned John Gotti, we didn't get into any details. Like you think you would have a whole episode on him, but no.
Yeah,
Uh,
they should
it-
have though. Like
right.
5 families, 5 episodes. Damn it, come on.
Exactly. Yeah, they could have do that. They could have like it could have been a six-parter and then one episode per family, and then they get to the end, right, or something like that.
Yeah,
Then
like talk about the family itself. Like I'm not saying we have to go back to when they first immigrated to the states or whatnot, but
something
talk
right.
about really
That's a
the
whole
when
issue of that's a whole
yeah,
issue
like
of the mafia come
right,
from Italian fascism and all that history now. We ain't get none of that.
exactly.
It's just
Yeah,
Julian mentioned a thing with he two grandfathers, and like that's about it. We really get nothing. And so I don't know
yeah,
what those I don't know who it was for exactly. If you're not familiar with this story, then it might be interesting. But again, this would have worked so much better if it was just a narrative film, like whatever in the same vein as When They See Us or something like that. And again,
yeah,
the subject matter, it has been done to that. We have seen this done so many times. Scorsese do it enough time. Other gangster people do it another time for better or for worse. And it is not that interesting ultimately for me. So I don't
all
know.
right.
For me,
Well, yeah.
so
What's your rating? What's your rating?
yeah, 5 out of 10. Mostly because it just again worst of both worlds. It had some fun with it, but and it's if you're looking for style over substance, then yeah, but not for a documentary. A documentary kind of had to be substance. Sorry to say it. Um,
Right.
it
Fair
is
enough.
yeah,
Yeah.
some style, but too much. It had too much style over and too little substance. Right. I wasn't engaged in it from a narrative standpoint. It didn't work. I didn't get what was going on, and I couldn't get in. It just rushed through everything too quickly for me to enjoy it. From a
Yeah.
documentary standpoint compared to like the opposite where we had these little slow burn documentaries that we run through it a lot of criminal law stuff. That is like what you're supposed to do with that material. Like the one with Atlanta and the one with the forensics thing, right?
Right. Right.
I,
Which we covered here. Yeah.
right. That's
Right.
I wanted something more like that personally, but this one real stylish and style. And it's like it like no, just make a normal movie now. Like why even do this? Like just make a movie.
Yeah.
However,
Well, one thing I just want to mention quickly before I get to my rating, right? What I did appreciate though, but I felt they could have done a little bit more of, is the sort of the aspect of the wiretaps themselves, right? I really dug the moments where yeah, the FBI agents themselves have to play the tapes over, and just try to decipher what's being said and all that kind of stuff. Like I felt they could have been a
but
little bit more of that.
yeah, that could have come up in a bigger discussion of the whole. Well, this was kind of the beginning of the surveillance state, and when you overdo one thing, you could see why the state might overreact in this way and whatnot. That all of that could have come up in a discussion. It wasn't. It didn't. It just oh well, we just did this and we get them. That's it. Evidence, case. Okay.
Yeah, but to me though, like those moments really interested me though. Just not so much them insulting the. Although yeah, those moments are really cool, right? Them insulting the wiretaps, but it's really the moments where like they try to hear what's being said. It's like, oh, you know what I mean? These people one moment right involving a particular boss and something involving his maid though, and they find something about
Right.
that, and they could have
Right.
expanded on that
That's
a little
come and
bit more.
gone.
Yeah,
That's
it's just
come
like,
and gone.
oh, that happened. Okay.
They could even focus on more the FBI, the psychology of that, where it's like, all right, well, you're spending time learning about these people, and if they get connected to them, because that is a whole thing, right? Where,
Yeah.
in surveillance today, that is what we call, well, not loving, but SIGINT, right? The whole getting accustomed and familiar with the target you have, and then to find out that they're dead. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, you got
Yeah.
attached to the person. That's not, really, you could get into all of that. Nope, just gloss over, and everything was more stylized shot and seeing their face reflected inside a diner window, and you have them on the
Yeah, yeah.
askew, and
And
you're
and it's,
watching,
and it's even worse though when a few of those scenes are repeated, especially in the third
yeah,
episode. Like this
and
one guy who is in the diner and you see him kind of looking outside and somebody
yeah,
passing
yeah,
by. They use that shot like about twice in the same
yeah, and then
episode.
one guy talking in the car, but the camera watching through his rearview, reflection, and that you're just seeing his mouth moving, and that bullshit. Enough.
Yeah.
Again, you should have make a movie. Whatever. 5 out
Yeah.
of 10.
All right. So wait, wise for me. Like 30th century. It's eyed for what it is. If you're interested, give it a look. It's just 2.5 hours long if you decide to run it through. But if you were like me, if you're like me, you'll just kind of watch one episode and kind of leave it alone for a while and just go back to it afterwards. So not saying that it's a bad show, but it just could have been so much better given the subject material, right? This easy could have been a 5 episode run. Really could have gone deeper as far as the FBI and the Mafia. I mean, it's just so much stuff you could dive into, man. But they just kind of glossed over everything, and then on top of all that, kind of made things glossy, you know, because it's the genre, right? It's gangster, so you have to be all stylized and whatnot. But as I said, Ricardo, yeah, this really it kind of not sure whether it wants to be, a feature-length film or a documentary. Like, you have to kind of choose, either or the other, right? But yeah, I mean, for it is, yeah, I mean, watch it if you're interested. But if you're expecting much more, skip it.
Yeah.